It's Joseph P. Firmage.
I want to apologize for the delays and what would seem to be routine and mundane capital transfers, but it's been an immense amount of work and time for more than 4 years of maintaining operations. Since the beginning of COVID, unexpectedly delayed my licensing of our core physics intellectual property for gravity and inertial propulsion, nuclear physics, aka, and electricity generation nearly for free, and the economic operating system for the US Treasury to go along with it, many won. And so, had the licensing to the private sector gone according to plan, we would have been generating revenue in immense quantities by latest 2021. It's 2023, and it's been that long since my team and I have had a reliable salary, and so raising the capital for everything from my own to theirs, and occasionally succeeding on that front, because of course the needs of the entirety of our financial operation, which includes the public and funding from and for the government of the United States, to get these incredible undertakings properly engineered at scale, for the scale of need that the planet has at this time for these magnificent innovations. And so I am grateful for your patience as organizing this capital has had to compete with numerous agents presenting from both the government and the private sector spaces. Has been the past 2 years, including a trip up by the government in a $216 million grant that was due a year ago, and has caused some embarrassment to me, to yours truly. And then, of course, having to take care of a life. So, thank you for your patience, my friends. I'll be I believe, the top fundraiser that the party has ever seen, and rather easily so. I'm more interested in raising $100 trillion for the kind of infrastructure development programs that the United States and the world in general truly do need. And with that, I'm going to take care of these young rascals who keep wanting to guide me, but shall not. Come on, you. So, I will be talking with you very soon, and let's head to DC and get on with the responsibilities to our nation and to a planet in need of leadership. There are lots of people to take care of, and lots of animals and God's living creatures, where they abound. God bless you. Thank you. We'll see you very soon. My friends, it is with great pleasure that we bring this time in Salt Lake City to a very productive end, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. And we are, me and Virginia, are preparing our work for Broadway. And what are you doing now? Oh goodness, you're not playing. You're playing with yourself again, right? And your phone. Yes, well, they don't want to talk about your phone. I don't think so. Not at all.
Firmage.
Yeah, well, well, just thought the American public and the federal government will be.
Firmage for president.
My friends and colleagues, I am coming to a rapid conclusion of our financial activities and logistics planning operations here in Salt Lake City, Utah. As I prepare to leave one city that I love and arrive very soon in another, I wish to thank you all for your best efforts, both over the past several months and certainly over the past years, indeed decades. Just as I wish to thank forward-looking those of you who have been so loyal and committed as to stick out some really tough challenges, particularly in recent years and months. I am extremely pleased with where we've arrived, and with your good faith, your continued diligence, and alacrity in everything logistics, funding, and otherwise related. I wish to thank you as well. I look forward to seeing you in Washington, D.C. and every other city in our great nation that I'm about to come to visit for at least the first, second, or maybe even the 10th time. I hope that you're among those who I get to meet in person. Now, please, help us in every way you can. My mission is sound, wise, experienced, and loving. Now let's inspire the world with great competence and diligence. May God bless you, your families, and may God bless the United States of America. We will see you soon.
My fellow citizens, my name is Joseph P. Firmage, candidate for President of the United States for 2024. In coming days, I will be arriving in Washington, D.C., a city I deeply love, and departing Salt Lake City, a home city that I also deeply treasure. In the days, weeks, and months to come, we're going to get to know each other considerably more rapidly than is customary. And during that process, I will be prioritizing the cabinet departments, policies, and agendas in evaluation, assessment, and updates involving these policies and agendas for each of the cabinet departments with each of the secretaries involved, of course. I have an integrated view of world affairs, both militarily and economically and politically, that is probably fairly well known to those of you with adequate intel on me. But I assure you that there's a lot still to share about what needs to be done, particularly with regard to Eurasian affairs in Ukraine and obviously over and around Taiwan. Military issues preoccupy my mind, as they likely do yours as well of late, and it is imperative in my judgment that we take fullest possible advantage of the pending G20 summit in Southeast Asia. That represents a profound opportunity for U.S. policy to concentrate its attention on what goals we want to accomplish over the subsequent 12 months. So if we take where we would like to see the world, the state of the world affairs by, let's say, November next of 23, let's reverse engineer that outcome to this G20 summit and pivot, or not pivot, but in any case, strengthen our resolve and clarify what our policies shall be and how we get those implemented de facto or de jure at that summit. Because if we set the end of the Eurasian conflict, both zones, west and east, as an objective for 12 months from this next November, well, let's try to achieve it, okay? And so every cabinet department, but particularly every service branch of the military, needs to have a before, during, and after plan for the summit itself. What are the objectives coming out of it, and how do we design those objectives into the pre-planning and the meticulous orchestration of the events at that summit? I believe that a magical type of peace can be accomplished with a lot of strength and a lot of uncertainty embedded in that process, believe me. But I believe that a different kind of peace concept can be implemented at this historic moment in world affairs. I draw upon the inspiration of my father frequently when it comes to these types of questions. But I know he was a very strong man and very hard-willed and deeply committed to peace. And he was also not a pushover. Neither am I. The importance of the timing because of the winter effects on military and ground operations cannot be overstated. And the spiraling tensions without a strategic conceptual breakthrough, I think, will boil over, and we risk awful things, which we must be prepared to address, of course. But the objective should be this: engineer the end of World War II. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we need to accomplish. Okay? Ukraine and Poland were the regions in which the Second World War started, indeed, because the Ukrainian peoples, both the civilian population was split between those recruited by the Nazis and those that stuck with the Soviets, and people had to live and die by the choices of their loyalties in that region. They had to choose life or death based upon their loyalties to which regime in that kind of all-scale war. Now, that region is the subject, of course, of unsettled grievances that stretch back that far and farther. That's what we're still fighting over. Now, the resources of the region, the incredible breadbasket, the minerals and rare metals, the uranium, and all of the port accesses and the uniqueness of the land bridge that defines Eurasia, I understand. That's why it's contested, but that's why we must make it a show of strength of why NATO is relevant for the third millennium, okay? And among the topics we can discuss is a proposal that I outlined some months ago called Joint Fractured Peace, which I am updating roughly as I speak, before and after this discussion with you on video. My point is this: if we take advantage of the G20 summit properly, I believe that we can orchestrate, beginning in the next small number of days, a sequence that can build up to inevitabilities that can be strategically decided. And that kind of strategic calculus of how we orchestrate the international players, particularly the relationships between Putin and Xi, and with respect to the White House and the European powers. We have some fresh blood in the United Kingdom, and we have thus fresh opportunities to create sparks of insights that seemingly pop out of nowhere. That's what I'd like to help us orchestrate, and I believe that we can do that, my friends. And if we find that we can or we cannot give Putin any kind of exit to return to some position of reputability, I don't know. I really don't. Let's find that out. But I do believe it is in our interest, very definitely, to move on this concept rapidly. And let's not just bumble our way into the G20 meeting and hope for a magical outcome, okay? The strategic agenda needs to be set. We need to bring World War II to an end. That, my friends, is something we can all be proud of. Thank you. May God bless you, your families, and may God bless the United States of America.
My fellow citizens, my name is Joseph P. Firmage, candidate for President of the United States in 2024. I'd like to share with you now, for a few moments, the facts and factors involved in this transition.
and I'd like to thank President Biden for his courageous, bold, and wise decision to entrust this high office to me. I aim to meet and exceed his very high expectations, as I do yours, so hold me to it. The conflicts in Eurasia, let's hope we can keep it to the Western Front, represent a degree of barbarism at grand scale that we did not expect to see. I surely did not, a decade ago, imagine that we would be confronting the possibility of a third world war, especially one involving nuclear armaments. We indeed should be celebrating the end of World War II, and Putin has, I believe, perhaps only one last chance to do that, to actually meet with me at the G20, and let's see if we can come to terms on a sane withdrawal strategy from his barbaric mistake in Ukraine. The resolution required to achieve a new peace in Europe, I believe, requires more blunt commitments to a globalized force projection posture than we presently have. The most obvious reason why the United States must not think otherwise is that the emergent science and technology that I indeed have spent a good deal of my career developing is a class of science and technology that challenges notions of sovereignty itself. So when we're dealing with this kind of advanced science and technology coming into the hands of nations and individuals over the next 10 to 20 years, we're talking about the need to redefine what sovereignty means in the modern world for a new century and a new millennium. Indeed, this kind of science and technology challenges national governance protocols as they stand for primacy in international relations. One need not look further than what Elon Musk is proffering as proposed solutions from a desk other than the Secretary of State. And to that point, the financial power wielded by a single individual now represents an interesting new twist for foreign relations and state departments all over the place to deal with in real time. In every case of assessment that I can examine, including the troubles with China and saber-rattling by North Korea surrounding Taiwan, much more muscular U.S. government, executive branch, and Defense Department with a laser focus on advanced systems for force projection is required, in my opinion, especially utilizing the emergent USSF as a force to reckon with. The objective that I believe our foreign policy should be constructed and assigned to achieve in the next 2 to 6 years, let us hopefully make it 2, is to find a final resolution to World War II.